This series is about resource management on board ship. The aim of resource management is to make the most of the available resources. These resources include yourself, your colleagues, and your equipment. This video is going to examine some of the background to human resource management. Other videos in this series will look at specific jobs on board and discuss how they can be better carried out with good resource management. The objective must be to create, with teamwork, an on-board crew that is greater than the sum of its parts. Resource management in all departments can help that. It's also an essential element of the STCW Convention. The foundation of resource management is what is called situational awareness. This means recognizing what's happening around you and responding to it in an appropriate way. Achieving good situational awareness is a three-step process. The first step is perception, gathering the information about your surroundings and what is going on there. We receive an enormous amount of information from our senses. Much of this comes from the eyes, but hearing and touch are also important. The second is interpretation, thinking about this information and analysing what it means. This will involve your previous knowledge, experience, and memory. The final step is anticipation, working out what is going to happen next and what you need to do about it. These three stages can be considered as the three W's: the what, so what, and the now what stages. Situational awareness is a constant interaction between our perceptions and the knowledge in our memory. Let's look at memory. Firstly, sensory memory, which holds the information we receive from our senses. This information is held very briefly. Next, working memory. This important mental facility enables us to understand, to reason, and learn. But it has its limitations. It can only handle an average of 7 items. So a briefing should only include 7 or fewer items. If there are more, a list or checklist will help to overcome this. Working memory can be very fragile. Interruptions may easily wipe out the items retained there. This is why it is so important to avoid distractions on the bridge at times of critical maneuvering. It's just not possible to remember what you're doing while being interrupted by mobile phone calls and inappropriate requests. Finally, long-term memory. This is your main memory store. The huge bank of information you have built up during your life. In situational awareness, your sensory memory feeds your working memory. Information is retrieved from the long-term memory and transferred into the working memory. This provides the basis for you to assess what you think will happen next and what you need to do about it. Another important part of resource management is working with your colleagues. That's the end of this section. Now look at the workbook.
next week or so we'll increase the training on familiarisation with the BA sets.
A key part of dealing with your colleagues is communicating with them. So improving your communication has huge benefits. It helps to raise your situational awareness. There are 4 steps to communication. First, the what, the actual information that is to be communicated. Second, the how, the way in which that information is communicated. Third, the why, the reason why that information is communicated. And finally, the who, the people to whom that communication is directed. To be a good communicator means thinking about these 4 steps. You will find more about this in the workbook that accompanies this series.
Shilling rudder, variable pitch coming to starboard, going astern, and 500 kilowatt motor stern. So, yeah, so maybe we should swing around and then do starboard side alongside. You should be coming in on the south side. So,
your professional communications must always be clear, as short as possible, and based on facts. When talking, maintain good eye contact.
So this is the computer you use for plant management system?
Yes.
Also, it helps if you summarize or repeat what has been said. Giving this kind of feedback leads to what is called closed-loop communication.
If you receive any new spare part, or if you want to order any new spare part, what do you do?
Well, you can order from here.
You must ask questions if what is said is not clear.
And when you receive, you have to update this, or the chief engineer will do this?
Yes, chief will update this all.
You should avoid interrupting.
All the numbers will go on
Try out these techniques. You may be surprised by the results.
as well.
There's a crucial part of communicating that's often overlooked: being a good listener. You need to be patient and supportive. You should make eye contact with the person that's speaking to you.
So, guys, now we're going down to Rotterdam, so let's go to the route. We'll drop the pilot out here, and then...
Effective communication is essential for good teamwork. In the ideal on-board team, everyone supports everyone else. Actions and decisions are shared under the authority of the master. But teams have to be built. They don't just happen. There are 4 stages to building a team: forming, storming, norming, and performing. We'll look at each of these stages.
Chief engineer.
Hello, Chief.
The first stage, forming, is when the team comes together. The team members need to learn about one another. They need to exchange personal information and be friendly. In the storming stage, the team members learn more about each other's skills and talents, as well as strengths and weaknesses. They find ways of working together. Good leadership may be needed to help resolve differences.
Have you got the course out of the barn in as a contingency?
Yes, it is ready.
Okay, thank you.
The next stage is norming. This is when the team develops rules for working together, creating their own norms. Some of these may be conscious and some unconscious.
Have you seen the barn visually now?
The more they are conscious, the stronger they will be. The final stage is performing. The team is now working effectively as a unit. The team members are able to make decisions without supervision. This results from the solid growth achieved in the first 3 stages.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
We are here for the safety and operational preparedness meeting.
The master decides the objectives of the team and evolves a plan in discussion with them. The team members' opinions are sought.
So what is the important distance thing that you will do in this case?
Each team member's contribution is valued, so they feel ownership of the plan.
We should open the valve slowly first, let the hose or line fill with water, and then open the valve slowly.
This teamwork management style allows any errors to be picked up by other team members. Every team needs leadership. Good leadership provides people with the vision and the motivation to give of their best, even in difficult and unpredictable circumstances.
Good morning, you must be my new chief officer.
Morning, Captain. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Welcome on board.
Leadership needs to be firm, but flexible and friendly. It should not be restrictive and autocratic.
Received your safety familiarization training.
But neither should it be uncontrolled and hands-off. Good leaders base their decisions on facts and not on personal prejudice. Good leadership involves giving praise when appropriate and giving constructive criticism when it is not.
Maybe last month we have some mistakes, but you managed to correct everything.
It's important to remain calm and, when possible, create enthusiasm. Good leaders try to understand the individual team members, learn about their skills and experience, and use that knowledge when distributing work. Good leaders do everything in their power to protect their team members from fatigue and stress. Good leadership is strongly motivating. Take safety. All senior officers must demonstrate their commitment to safe working practices by what they do. Ask yourself about your own leadership style and that of the officers who work with you. Does your approach encourage teamwork?
Anybody got any more to add?
Because once you absent-minded, it's easy to get you hurt or accident.
Do you think that your style will allow others to pick up your errors and participate fully? You could record yourself in action to check. You might be surprised at what you find. Another important part of working with others is working with people of different nationalities and cultures.
Waiting for your instructions.
Treat everyone professionally.
Yellow party to bridge.
Also, treat them as individuals. Never make assumptions about them based on their nationality or ethnic group. Remember that generally seafarers of all cultures know what their responsibilities are. Seafarers are used to doing their jobs with different colleagues on different ships. But whatever their job, the more they are aware of what they are doing and their objectives, the more effective they're likely to be. That's the end of this section. Now look at the workbook. To be able to carry out your duties properly, you need to take care of yourself. An important part of this is managing your workload so that you never become overwhelmed and stressed. The first step is to be familiar with the ship and what your responsibilities are. It's important to get a proper handover from the person you're relieving.
Here we have the echo sounder.
Echo sounder, where is the operates?
You must understand what you need to do to fulfill those responsibilities.
Next one, very important.
AIS.
AIS. This.
You need to understand how all the equipment relevant to you works. If you don't, you will never be able to reach a good level of situational awareness. Your senior officer should answer any questions you may have. The next step is to be organized. Work out a priority list of what needs to be done. Remember, always keep to established procedures. Use checklists when available and delegate if appropriate. This approach will help you and your team deal effectively with the amount of information and the number of tasks for which you are responsible. It's important to be alert. That is not easy when you're tired. Managing your lifestyle on board will help keep tiredness to a minimum. Watch out for fatigue in other people. Yawning and stretching are common signs of fatigue. For further information, study the training package on fatigue. And remain calm, particularly in a crisis. No matter how familiar you are with the ship and its equipment, or how organized you are, you cannot have good situational awareness unless you are alert. Being able to stay alert comes from having a healthy lifestyle. So think about your lifestyle. Take regular exercise, but avoid doing exercise just before going to bed, as this makes it more difficult to get to sleep. Also, eat healthily. Avoid drinking many sugary soft drinks. Eat fresh fruit and vegetables. Avoid smoking. If you are a smoker, think about giving up, or at the least, try to cut down. If alcohol is permitted on board, make sure you obey the regulations covering its consumption. Avoid drinking shortly before you go to sleep, as alcohol disturbs your sleep patterns. Many people find it helpful to have interests outside of work: reading, hobbies, watching TV, chess, computer games, music. Anything that provides something else to think about other than work. Perhaps most importantly of all, make sure that you get enough sleep. Try to keep to a routine time to go to bed and to wake up. This helps as the body gets used to falling asleep at a certain time. There is a daily rhythm of sleep and being awake. There's also a pattern to the different types of sleep. If you find that you're wide awake and cannot sleep, get up and read, or listen to soothing music until you feel ready for sleep. If you're trying to get to sleep, avoid watching TV. It can engage your emotions and so can wake you up. Research shows that it can be good to take a nap during your normal waking time, as long as it doesn't exceed 30 minutes. There's more about sleep in the workbook. To do your job on board effectively, you need good health and proper rest. Make sure you do what you can to achieve that, and so be a full member of the on-board team. Resource management is all about getting the very best from yourself, your colleagues, and your equipment on board. It's something that needs a constant effort to achieve and sustain. There are many things involved, but important things to remember are, first, always know your ship. Secondly, always maintain a good situational awareness. Whether you're working on deck, on the bridge, or in the engine room, Be sure you know what's going on around you.
Draw some PI lines.
Always communicate clearly and think about the information you want to get across to other people. Finally, remember to take good care of yourself and your health. Resource management is important to all seafarers in helping them work effectively. To refresh and improve your knowledge, watch this video again, consult the workbook, and see the other titles in this series.